I was a young man, we were promised that the internet would bring the age of enlightenment, where everybody would have the truth and the encyclopedias of the world at our very fingers, so arguing over things would be a thing of the past, and we would just have the wealth of knowledge available at our fingertips. Smash cut to 2026, and not only is AI taking over the internet, but with the internet, people are arguing over whether the earth is flat, we ever went to the moon, and if Sydney Sweeney being at a range going through some operations with a 9mm is actually CIA propaganda. Well, now we have a new thing that is coming, and this is genuinely nightmare fuel, because we joked about these Only Fools content creators and these women that were in the industry, as it were, back in the day. And we joked that, well, someday these women will become irrelevant. They won't have anybody to love or anybody to pay attention to them, and they would just fade into obscurity as miserable people. Well, it turns out that they're not letting go of their past. They're turning to AI to keep them basically looking like they probably did, minus the bruises and the sunken eyes and the deviated septum from running lines off of a dude's stomach. Now they're still creating the content. Now, this is from Tyler Durden over at Zero Hedge. Debbie Dupes Dallas, legends clone themselves with AI to keep raking it in long after retiring. Now, spoiler alert, I checked out one of these accounts. I'll be showing it here shortly. And it turns out they don't look very good. They don't seem realistic at all. They seem very fake. And the people that are paying for subscribing to this service, there's still thousands of them. There's still thousands of people that are subscribing to the service, and they don't even look good. And so these women are now able to put together, I guess they have a company that will make the AI for them, and simps can dial in or message in for their $10 or $20 a month and pretend to have her as a girlfriend or someone to talk to, but they're really talking to AI. And they can request, shall we say, the saucy videos, and explicitly ask the women to do anything they want. And of course, the women aren't real, or they are, but they're wrinkly and old. And so they just tell the AI to put together a certain video that gets shipped out to the guys. And these women are still raking it in. You know, we always say that weak men will bring in bad times, and we have some of the weakest men we've had on the planet of this earth. How we survive over the next several decades, I have no idea. I don't think it's going well for us at this point, if I'm to be honest. Before we get into the main story, let's quickly hear from today's sponsor. Speaking of AI, Venice AI. And while I'm not into AI being used for this, basically, I am certainly fine with it making your own personal videos, your own photos, like I use in my thumbnails many times, and of course, getting some information. But if you are, you might as well do it anonymously. Before we get into today's main topic, let me tell you about Venice AI. As you guys know, when I do a lot of my stories or I'm looking for research, I use Grok, and I've used Grok for the last year and a half. But it does sometimes censor some of the answers, and you certainly can't ask for video or images that get a little too spicy. Well, Venice AI is the resolution for that, because it is private, it is anonymized, and it gives you uncensored, unfiltered information. You know, we tell these platforms our thoughts, our business ideas, maybe ask financial questions. We give them health information, and a lot of that stuff is sensitive. Then they take all this information, they tie it to your identity forever, and then sell it to various third parties, you know, for extra revenue and for advertising. And of course, you know, they're going to give it away to governments if they ask. Venice.ai is the alternative, a truly private AI. By sending your queries through a proxy server, much like a VPN, your data is encrypted going to and from the AI servers, with the only data persisting in your browser. By clearing your browser cache or history, you wipe out everything you've ever sent, asked, made, or imagined with one click, and they have no idea who you are. That is true privacy. Well, this is where Venice AI comes in. Whether you ask them a question like I did, do black people commit crime at a higher rate than other races, which we know is true, it just says yes, and they explain why and how. They don't give you any of the prerequisites or any of the stupid stuff you don't want to hear. They just give you an answer. You can go down to the bottom of the screen and select which engine you want to use. I can use Grok if I want to. I can use ChatGPT. I can use any of them. But what they do is they make my queries anonymized. They're not private in this case because they are asking one of the large language models, but they are anonymized. But they also have selections like Venice, uncensored, Venice Medium. You'll see there's a little private tag, and it says this model's private. No prompt data is stored in any capacity. The only thing that you have is what's stored on your computer. They do the same thing for images. They have Image Turbo, which is private. They have Lustify, which I probably don't need to explain very much further for you. They have Quen. They have Anime, which is uncensored anime. I know some of you weebs are into that stuff. They even have the same thing for video. So you can get truly uncensored, unfiltered, honest AI. They'll give you the data. They'll give you the spicy photos, which Obviously, this is one I generated just to see if it worked. I can't show it to you. And it's all private and it's all anonymous. That's the real key. So if you're ready for truly uncensored private AI, go to Venice.ai/Bachelor and use code Bachelor to enjoy private, uncensored AI and get a 20% off a pro plan. If you've seen the prices of ChatGPT, if you've seen the prices of Grok, go check out Venice AI. I think you will be blown away at the amount of power you can get for just a couple of bucks a month, and you can get 20% off using my promo. And now back to our regularly scheduled program, me. Okay, Debbie dupes Dallas legends clone themselves with AI to keep raking it in long after retiring. Worn-out stars have found a fresh new way to keep raking in the cash long after they've aged out of the business, according to a new report from Wired magazine. Ochat, a British startup that lets spicy content creators clone themselves with AI, has inked a deal with Lisa Ann and Sherry DeVille, I don't know who that is, to license their likenesses on the platform, basically creating a digital version of them in every possible way that can churn out custom spicy scenes for paying customers. Now, I saw this profile, and her name's Lisa Ann, and they have a link in it. And I did follow the link, and let me pull this up for you. And this is it. And it has 6,100 followers. Now, how many subscribers, I don't know. But if you look at these videos, and I'll just click on one for an example here. The audio's just some generic thing. It's a 5-second long clip. And yes, she may have been ravishing back in the day. She might have even looked like this when she was 30 years old. But spoiler alert, this is not her. It's a facsimile. But apparently you can subscribe to her. And it's a priority account, $5 a month for unlimited chat. So you can talk to a chatbot for a whopping $5 a month. Platinum, you get unlimited chat and 200 audio files and 200 images of AI. And Lisa Ann VIP, $30 a month, unlimited chat, audio, and images of, that's right, AI, you guessed it. And all of it is just this AI slop content. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look realistic. It's just, and I don't know how many supporters she actually has, but she's making enough money. She can pay this company to keep making videos of her, and it's never going to stop. Seeing stuff like this, just, man, does this depress me. It's never going to stop. They're never going to quit. They just can't move on with their lives. They can't become productive members of society. Their only worth is basically this. This is all they're ever going to be worth to society, and they can't even let it go after they age out. They continue on. Despite leaving the business in 2019, 8 years ago now, almost 7 years ago, Lisa Ann now charges $30 a month to give fans the ability to cook up whatever spicy scenarios of her using the bot. This keeps my name alive, she said of her AI clone in an interview with Wired. She's never going to age. For guys that like to say good morning or good night, they now have that access. The fact that I'm not shooting scenes anymore also allows new scenes to be created because nobody wants to see you anymore. This is Alex Links, I guess, and this is another that's on joy.com. And it's the same kind of thing. You can create your own, the rest of it. It's just so... You know what's going to become really valuable in the future is physical meetups with people. Now, we may be in the infancy of all of this stuff. And for now, it's new and it's interesting and it's kind of, it's, new technology. So maybe people are kind of dabbling in it because they find it interesting. I do think in the long run, this will either A, destroy people. It's just, if you get into this, it's going to destroy you. Like you're going to be the weird foot guy on the internet, except you're going to be by yourself and not have any friends. And it's not necessarily going to be feet, but you're going to be one of those weird isolated people on the internet. Number two, I think this is going to get overused by women, especially in dating apps, in their online personas, on Instagram and everything else. And it's going to flood the market with 9s and 10s, like a woman that's probably a 6 or 7 that seems achievable and reachable for many men. A lot of guys like to look at content of women that are not 9s and 10s and perfect, but ones that are a little bit more relatable. Maybe the girl next door they thought someday they could possibly get. Now all the women are going to use this, and there's going to be a lot of guys that are using it too. But women are going to use this. They're going to amp themselves up and make themselves look flawless and perfect, and it's going to be boring. It's just everybody is going to be hyper attractive to the point where you burn out on it. They're going to do the same thing in the dating apps. I already did a story about how women are replacing their photos with AI versions of themselves that look 90% as good as they do, but it's taken away wrinkles, it's taken away sagging, it's made their breasts larger, whatever. And people are just going to say, I want off the internet. Like, I do not want, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I signed up for. And I think there's an uncanny valley. When you talk about the uncanny valley, many times people are referring to AI and robotics and clones and other images of humans or people that are supposed to be human. And they get right up to where they almost look human, but not quite. And the more human they look, right up until they actually look human, there's this massive fall off, and it's called the unvalley. I've talked about this before, so I won't go in too depth of it. But that uncanny valley makes people uncomfortable. Like they know it's supposed to be representative of a human, and it's so close that it kind of looks like one, but it's also so close that it looks like a very sickly, weird humanoid type thing, and it makes people uncomfortable. And they call that the uncanny valley. And while AI may be able to jump over that gulf for now, what's going to happen is people are going to have an uncanny valley reaction to online stuff like this, because at a certain point, you're going to look at it and you're going to look at so much of it and you're going to have everything you want available at all times that you're just going to burn out on it. The beautiful ones, the ones that can make themselves perfect in every way, shape, or form, people are actually going to get tired of that. And I think they're going to look for somebody with normal flaws. And then, of course, people using the AI will modify it to make them look more realistic. And before you know it, I think the internet is going to be nothing but fake everything. And I think that's going to bring human beings back to meeting face to face and actually getting off the internet. I really do believe that, because I know already there's huge pushback against AI slop. And that's from the kind of guys you'd think would want to take advantage of it. Many of those guys are the same ones that are saying, no, I don't like this. I'm not into this, because it's not a real person. And the fantasy is about the person, the real person, not some amalgamation of what a computer thinks we want to see. Here's what should mess with you a little bit. Of course, we have an Indian guy, because we know the Indian guys are going to be all up over this. Here you can see I don't know, late 20-something, 30, early 30-something, using a program called APOB, APOB, AI's recharacter function. I have to mute it because I've got dance music on here, but you can see that in live real time, he can go ahead and do all the moves. And now he looks like, what's her name? Delphine or Belphine. What was it? What was the young gal's name that went very popular for doing the, and then she sold her bathwater. Anyways, Delphine, I think it is. Anyway, you can see he's literally doing that, and it move for move, match for match. He doesn't have to change his clothes. He doesn't have to change anything about himself. He can just stand in front of the camera and do some dancing, and it completely duplicates him. And that's not the only thing. Now we've got it in the movie. If you've ever seen the movie Career Opportunities with Jennifer Connelly, this is, I mean, what an iconic scene. It's, and of course you got a couple of guys in here, looking at her and staring at her in the movie. And I'll just speed this up a little bit. I'll just so you can get an idea of the scene. I'll play it at 1/2 speed.
No. Well, don't knock ours. Crime isn't.
And at the time, in 1991, for a very stacked and pretty and young Jennifer Connelly, we knew what they were trying to simulate, especially with the squeaking of the horse and her riding up and down on this. And the ride comes to an end, and she asks for a quarter.
Whoops. Anyone have some change?
And now we have this. This is Pretty Woman. And they kept the audio the same, but they swapped out a couple of people. Let me speed this up just a little bit so we can get through it. But you'll get the idea. Now here's Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman, and they've just completely swapped her out. And you can't tell that this is not a scene that she was originally in. And here they have Richard Gere and the character Costanza, I forget the actor's name, in the same scene here, but they've replaced all of it.
Whoops. Anyone have some change?
And here's the APOB. And what you'll find interesting is, how this is going to go already. Now ask me to sign in every time I move my mouse the least little bit. But if you go here and it says create your own portrait and your model for your image and everything else, what are all the accounts? All the accounts are women, either in bikinis or in yoga pants or in other positions that are, semi-attractive. I would say 95, someone's got Trump dancing in here, but 95% of them are people pretending to be women. And so, yes, there may be a point in time where we get so over inundated that people want to go back to the real thing. But what happens when you don't know what the real thing is anymore? What happens when everything on the internet is fake? Jason Alexander, that's George Costanza. It was sitting in the back of my head like a bee wanting to sting me. Jason Alexander in that clip, that's who was George Costanza. Anyway, so there's going to be a point in time where people crave the real thing and you can't trust anything on the internet anymore. And people have said in the past, hey, put your hand in front of your face, hold up a peace sign. And when you move things across the face, it messes with the AI's ability to render the face underneath the hand. And so by just having somebody hold up fingers in front of their face, many times it'll break the AI model. And so now today, at least, people will say that to somebody. And then when they don't, they say, okay, well, you're faking it. This is obviously AI. But it is going to get to the point where it's good enough to get past that, just like it's been good enough to get past everything else. It used to take days of rendering to do a face swap on somebody just as short as 2 or 3 years ago. Now you can literally go into AI and do it in 10 seconds. It is so easy and so fast. And so in actuality, I'm going to try to stay optimistic about this. I think that this is going to detour a lot of people away from this type of account. It's probably going to ruin Instagram or other places where people share photos. It's already messing up X, formerly Twitter, because people sharing fake videos of fake things. And a lot of times you don't know, and then you get 20 or 25,000 likes on it. And then here comes somebody that has a link showing that it is actually AI generated or something else. And eventually you won't be able to trust anything on the internet anymore. I don't know. Ironically, this AI thing may not be the next advance into the future, except for maybe creating your own movies or doing some web search or getting some information. But as far as dating and looking at attractive people on the internet and finding out who's a good writer, who's making video content and everything else, this may be a huge leap backwards by 30 or 40 years to the point where people just won't trust the internet anymore, just like they didn't when it first came out. Nobody wanted to, everybody was worried their data would get stolen in their likeness and they'd have some people spoof who they are and mess with their loved ones or their family or their finances. This may do the same. This may just take it right back to the day where no one trusts the internet anymore. And unless you see it with your own eyes, it's too good to be true. Guys, if you like my work, make sure to join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com, or for those of you on YouTube, at least get over to Rumble. The channel is Odd Man Out, because I also do news stories over there. Anyway, come on over, join us. Great community of like-minded guys. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can check out the forums, check out the topics we're talking about, and you can see the live streams that I've done in the past. And then if you say, hey, something, I kind of like this, I dig this, I want to be a part of this community where I can post and share things and join some of the live streams that I do for supporters only, it's $5 a month, which is literally less than a crappy cup of coffee from Starbucks. So come on over, join us today. I think you'll appreciate it. Enjoy the members only live streams that I do. It's a good time. It's a good community. So come on over, check it out, and you won't regret it.